Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. And today we're going to cover this topic. I hate being midsize. So I wanted to talk about this because I've noticed a bit of a shift in my midness around April. I think there were some psychological things that happened throughout April, but also some hormonal things too. But I feel like I adjusted to things shifting, particularly with testosterone. I feel like at this point I'm like less angry. But with the anger going away, I'm more melancholic, I guess. I honestly, I have to be so real before I start this. I think that most of my journey has been horrible, honestly, or like really tough. I know that's like really bad to say, but I just have to be real. But there's something about this phase, about being midsize, that I literally just hate everything about it. I just hate it. I think with other phases, even if they were tough, even if they were brutal, I didn't like hate the way I looked, hate where I was, hate how I felt, I think either because I was too weird to care, like in some of the bigger sizes, or I was just, I still was able to kind of have fun and stuff at like small fat, for example. Even if it was tough, still it was fun too. And even like with the tortured phase or like that morbidly obese phase, it was so stimulating because so many things were changing that even though it was tortured, as I call it, and it was really hard, it was interesting. And so for me personally, this phase has probably been my least favorite. It's been a phase that I've absolutely hated pretty much since it started. It's pretty rare for me to hate a phase from beginning to end. Usually, like when I get towards the middle of it, I can kind of see the lesson or I can see what I'm figuring out. I can just see things better, or like there tends to be some kind of benefit or something. But with midsize, there isn't. It's like I really think I'm just going to hate this from start to end. And I don't like it. I don't like the way I look. I don't like how I'm treated socially during this phase. I don't like pretty much anything about it. Honestly, the only thing that I appreciate about it is just the health benefits. But other than that, I really hate it. And so I think what I felt about it is just that it is a phase characterized by a lack of health issues. And these social issues become so important, and appearance becomes so much more important during this phase. And I think that's why it's so sticky for a lot of people. And I can't say I'm really angry. Like I've reached a point now where I'm not even angry anymore. I'm just sad. Like I'm sad about it, or I'm bitter. It's like a bitterness. And it should be interesting. Like I'll definitely let you guys know how it goes moving forward. Obviously, I'm here. I'm halfway through, just about. I should be moving forward. I don't have any disruptions or anything. I don't have anything holding me back anymore. I think I have to just buckle down and get out, because I don't think I'm ever going to be happy in this phase. To which I'm sure some of you guys would be like, you're never happy, da da da. It's like, sure, but I also at least had like varying emotion, or like happy times. I don't know. It's like, and as far as the process, it's brutal at this phase. It's really hard. because I have to just do a lot of body comp work, which means there's less benefit as far as the scale and all these things. A lot of things don't show, so it's very stagnant. And the way that I feel is stagnant. Like, I don't have that many emotions. And honestly, I tried really hard in the beginning of this phase to not hate the way that I looked. But I feel like, honestly, it's taking so much energy to not hate it that it's not worth the energy. I think it's better to just put the energy in to get out of the mids and just focus completely on getting out. I know that this can be sticky for a lot of people because of the content of my channel, how I talk about things, or the things that I talk about, as in the toxic ritualistic. But I have to make it as clear as possible that these feelings will have no bearing on how I move forward with the process. I'm still counting calories. I have a complete objective measurement, as far as the scale. I do things objectively. I don't base things like that on how I feel. But I just don't think I can gaslight myself into being okay with this phase. So I know that's kind of negative, and I'm sorry, but I have to just be real. And I knew I would hate this phase, even when I was bigger, or when I was younger. I never wanted this phase. And it's really lived up to everything I could have thought about it, basically. So I don't know. I don't know how people are comfortable in it. I don't understand it. I can't stand it. So it's really disappointing. And I think it's harder because you're trying. So it's like I'm trying to look better and I don't. And it's really hard. And I just hate it. I really hate it. So with that being said, I wanted to cover this and give my perspective as somebody currently in it and see what people say. And I'm sure it'd be very Midsize princessy as I read these comments. But let's read it. I weigh 178 pounds and I'm 5'3" and I'm not big or skinny, and I genuinely just wish I was one or the other. I wear a size 10 to 12 in pants, and I've been called fat, but I've also been told I'm not that big. I have no idea what my body genuinely looks like. Yeah, this has been happening to me a lot. It's really, really hard. It's very hard to tell because it's like, it's constant. It's a constant switch in your mind. And when I went to Austin, I wasn't in a deficit. I wasn't like actually going crazy at all, especially compared to LA. LA, I was like, whoa, I ate a lot in LA. That time, like Austin, not really. But it was really hard for me because the psychological effects of not being in a deficit or not counting, it was freaking me out a little bit. But it's like I was wearing all my clothes and I was still fitting in everything. Even if by the end of it I was a little swollen, things were a little bit tight, but I never like got out of it. When I went to LA, I went up a size after, and then I came back down pretty fast because I get very swollen with flights and stuff too. But I really think the flight bloating, the taking a step out of a deficit and stuff, I don't think it's bad. I think it's stuff that I needed to do because it does actually prevent you from being more toxically ritualistic, because basically you kind of just get used to fluctuation, you get used to things, and it helps to actually, like, for example, not be like, I'm not going to go on a trip because I'm losing weight. That's kind of toxically ritualistic. Like, you have to kind of have a little bit more flexibility and stuff, and I was going nuts. But it's still these types of things that are difficult in this phase and that I'm currently trying to deal with and understand. like I said, it's just, I just hate it personally. I just do. And I can't pretend. I just can't. I feel huge at times, and then I'll look at my body in the mirror and I'll be like, oh wait, I'm not that big. I just need to lose the weight so I can get out of this middle ground. So I would agree with this. As somebody currently in it, I would agree. Absolutely. Typically mid-size, you're still overweight, even if it's just a little bit. It's nothing crazy, but you're typically, you're in between. You're in between being fat and thin. So it's obviously better to be on the thinner side than on the fatter side, for a lot of different reasons. So I agree with this assessment. For some reason, people are really upset about people saying things like this now. I agree. A lot of you guys were talking about like skinny talk and stuff. People are really touchy about this. Like, for us being so beyond fat acceptance, it seems very fat acceptancy. And I told you guys this would be the year that they would backlash, and we're seeing it. And they're using institutions, they're using YouTube, they're using medical people, like doctors and stuff. They're using institutions to clamp down on talking about this stuff. So it's really horrible, because this backlash that I was talking about is happening. Even if it is very covert, it's happening. Just like I told you. I told you it would happen. I predicted it. It is happening. It's very strange. But yes, I agree with this statement. I feel like sometimes I wonder if certain people in my audience would be upset that I agree with this. It's weird. It's becoming controversial to say things like that. Just think about that. Michelle, she did a video on skinny talk, for example. It's really interesting. But let's see what people say on Reddit to this type of statement. This is 5 months ago. I think you're focused on the wrong thing. You shouldn't have the opinions of others determine how you feel about the size of your body. Okay, well, my answer to that is I don't like it at all. So honestly, sometimes it can be helpful or hurtful. It depends. But this doesn't help at all if you are not at all satisfied with where you're at, which I'm not. So it's not helpful. Just putting that out there. When you rely on that too much, you end up saying incredible things like, I have no idea what my body genuinely looks like. See, it's coming across as judgmental to me. And I understand I could be kind of mid-sized princessy or kind of touchy, but it's because I really don't like it. And it's hard when you really don't like where you're at. I just don't like it. You have your body and you have ways to view it. It's not a thing for other people's pleasure or opinions. It is your vehicle for your life and everything you do on earth. So first, respect it that way. Not just a thing, sure. I agree with that. But it's not necessarily, like, I've treated my body well throughout my journey. So it's not really about that. It's just about not being happy, which I think is hard for people. I think it's really hard for people to hear people talk about being dissatisfied with how they look, especially at this stage. And I don't know why. I just feel like there's so much projection upon it. But I am just generally unsatisfied. I wonder what they would say to someone like me. Then, if you must decide whether it's too big or too small or too much of something that can be considered ordinary in any body, you can address that. You have to consciously decide whether or how it matters if your body is that big for yourself. Otherwise, you'll always feel confused about your body and feel like there's some middle ground. Changing your weight without fixing your self-image first will not get you results. It'll harm your mental health and physical health and may trigger an ED. Okay, so for me, this is extremely condescending. I don't know if somebody if this person even has this. I hate that. I hate it when people do that. It pisses me off beyond. Because typically, as I've told you guys many, many times, what causes that? It is something traumatic. Trauma causes it. And it doesn't have to be like a deep childhood trauma. It can be something like a horrible work environment. That is enough. That is enough to trigger something. That can trigger something. But in terms of changing your weight without fixing your self-image, no, that's not necessarily true. Not in my opinion. Because if you are mid and you just don't like the way that you look, you think you look frumpy, you think you look like you're not caring about yourself, or you think you look just kind of meh, just mid, and you're not satisfied with it, how the hell are you supposed to make yourself feel okay with that if you're not, and then decide to lose the weight after that? It doesn't make any sense. You don't have Grim Reaper feelings at the mids. You don't. So a lot of it comes down to, am I going to continue or not? Which for a lot of people, it comes down to, I feel dissatisfied. And I don't think it's helpful to project toxic ritualistic onto somebody who's mid. They typically don't. Because typically to be mid, your average person who's mid, they're just kind of coasting through life. They're not caring that much. And that's what the connotation of it is. And that's how people see you. They see you as you don't care. You don't put any effort at all. And you're just kind of going through life, coasting. So a lot of laziness is projected on mid-size people. And it's because that's kind of the stereotype and that's the connotation. You don't have enough of a struggle to complain. You're not big enough to be felt bad for, but you're also not in shape and you're not together. So to a lot of people, you look frumpy. You don't look put together. And people are like, But then if you say like, oh, I want to get out of this, then people are like, well, do you hate yourself? And it's just like a lot of the stuff that people do to fat people. They do it to the mids as well. And it's really annoying because a lot of times if somebody's struggling with being mid, part of it is you can't tell if you're big or not a lot of the time because it's subjective. That's what's hard about it. That's what's sticky. So it's like a lot of times you're trying to find some kind of objectivity, but really all you can do is kind of stick to numbers of healthy weight ranges and see where you are personally satisfied. That's basically what it is. Honestly, which is kind of boring, but people don't like that. They don't like it if you say that. It's interesting to me. I understand what you mean because you feel like a bit of a poser in fat spaces because you're not really that big, but I'm also definitely fat. Like there's a lot of body fat in certain areas. I definitely don't want to be bigger, but sometimes I look at people bigger than me and say, dang, you look pretty good, and I'm not looking that good. I agree with this. I think one of the hardest things about it is that when you are mid, you lack a lane. It's like you're in between lanes on the highway. It's just a horrible feeling. And I don't know. Like, I haven't really tried that hard to be like super fashionista. But I think when you're bigger, it's just the standards are lower and certain things look better. When you're mid, they don't look good anymore. It's really hard to explain. I don't know how much of it is internal, but I do feel like you can tell because other people see you that way too. It's hard to explain. It's really weird, but I understand what they're saying with this. I think part of the issue is getting clothes that fit well and make you look good, though. I've struggled with it a long time, and I'm finally now just making my own clothes, and it has been a lot of fun to actually get stuff fit to my measurements. Yeah, so I think I can understand that approach for sure. I think for me, I just need to get out, you know. I think that there's a lot of traps in the mids. I think there's a lot of mind mazes and things, like things people say to you. I think a lot of people are invested in you staying mid. I think it's one of those phases that's just really sticky for a lot of people. And I talked about the interaction of the mids with alcohol. I talked about it in a video from last week. It's really weird because I think all I can really do is try to bring awareness to it, because a lot of people, they either blasted through this, or they don't know about it, or they don't get it, or it comes and they're like, what the hell? So all I can really do is talk about it. And I feel like it's been hard to do as an activist because I'm really unhappy with this phase. And I have to just be real. I just do. I'm 5'7", 155 pounds, mid-size, and I think people always treat me like crap and being left out. It's interesting, isn't it? And then the biggest thing is no one cares. So there's hardly any other comments, or there isn't really anymore. So I honestly, I don't know about this. I think it's just you're treated weird. I would say weirdly. I wouldn't say you're treated like crap. It's not as bad as small fat. It's not, but it's just weird. You're treated weirdly. It's the projection. There's so much projection. I've had so many things projected upon me in this phase. And it's really challenging for me specifically. I hate that. I hate it so much. It's driving me insane. So socially, I do think small fat was worse socially, just because I felt like I couldn't, like I felt like I had to be more careful. But the mids, it's still really bad. And I wish I could say that it was better. But I could see why a lot of people that have been mid that become fit, they're like, I'm treated so much better. I could totally understand it now. Because I could only imagine being this size for years. It would be miserable. So I don't know. I just wanted to talk about it. And I know, like I said, I know it's kind of negative, but I have to be real with you guys sometimes. And I think for me, I think it's better to just put the energy into getting out and stop worrying about trying to be okay, because it's not necessarily toxically ritualistic. I think I have to be careful not to project that onto myself as well, because there isn't really anything happening with it. Like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just continuing as normal. And I think that that's the best I can do. And then I think I need to focus more on aesthetics and stuff. I'm just not happy. I'm not happy with how I look. And it's really hard. I'm just totally unhappy. Like, truly. To my core. And just because I'm unhappy, it doesn't mean that I'm like dying over it. You know, it's just, it's dissatisfaction. It's like I'm very, very, very dissatisfied. And it's so strong that it, like I said, it's almost bitter. That's how bad it is. So it is bad, but it's not like I'm crashing out or, oh my gosh, oh, I don't know. Like, it isn't like that. It doesn't have that emotional quality. It's just I am totally dissatisfied with where I'm at. I totally don't like this at all. And people hate that. They hate it when you say it. I'm going to go ahead and go. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.